Over the years, I've been asked a lot of questions when it comes to social media and especially Instagram. So today I want to touch on a most asked question, which is how do you grow on Instagram? And I'm going to share my top 5 tips, and at the end I'm going to give you a little editing tutorial on how I achieved this and how this photo got this much engagement. The first thing I want to note is that growing on Instagram doesn't mean successful. It means that you found a way to grow your following and grow your community, which also then helps you be successful. It doesn't mean that you are successful if you have a big number on Instagram, and you shouldn't be gauging your success off numbers. I just want to preference that first. But the first thing I want to talk about is consistency. Now, consistency has a lot of different meanings. A lot of people think, okay, that means I've got to upload on a regular occasion. And it does, but it also means that you have to be consistent in your style, and consistent in your upload schedule, consistent in the way that you present yourself. The content itself has to be consistent, the style in which you're recording. So there's a lot of different parameters that you have to keep in mind when you're looking at consistency. So some good examples of consistency in content are a few creators. So the first one that comes to mind is a friend, Jordan Rand. So she's very consistent in the style of video that she's putting out in her niche. And I think it's really important to identify your niche and then put out content that is specific to that niche and then be consistent about it. Another one is Willis.Newman. He started this series, I think about a year ago, where it's called photography walkthroughs. So then what he does is he walks you through like a photography technique, and then the consistency is within the style of that video. If you look at these reels that are playing on the screen, they are all very consistent in the way that they are being displayed. Now, consistency doesn't mean necessarily just about reels, but consistency in photography, so a style. Let's take Mike Chudley for an example. He's a great street photographer that's based in London, well, around London, and he has this aesthetic and this style that shows story in his images, and it comes across when he posts on Instagram. Another great example for a photographer that is consistent in their style is Ben McLean. You can see with his feed here, it's so clean. Now, Ben actually talks about how he does this in a video, in a recent video that he uploaded on YouTube. I'll link it below for you to go and watch it, because I think it actually goes really well with this type of video. So if you watch this and then go and watch that one, I think you'll have a really good understanding as a photographer of how to present yourself. Within the photography space, there is a ton of creators that are hitting this aesthetic really well. Shots by Alice is another one. You've got Aaron Brimhall, you've got Peter McKinnon, part of these OG creators, but they're all very consistent in the way that they're showcasing their work and their content. So it's not just about reels, it's about photos and the way that you're showing that content, and consistency in that style as well. So the second important thing to do is showing up for your community. And what I mean by that is a lot of people look at followers as potential clients, as customers. But if you take a broader idea of that and think, okay, this is my community, we're all the same, we're within the niche, or we're within the niche that we're interested in, and it's about utilizing that to your advantage, but also to your community's advantage. So that could be putting on meetups, putting on events, putting on different type of workshops within your niche or whatever that is, and making your community turn up or do a Zoom call or a Teams meeting where you have discussions within your niche. And I think it's really important to have that connection with your community, because it strengthens that core community. So examples of this, as a photographer, I do meetups all over the world. If I'm in a location, for example, I'm currently in Nice, and sometime next week I'm going to try and do a meetup. It'll be with some local photographers. I'll just put it on my story, be like, hey, I'm in Nice. If anyone wants to link up, we'll go and grab a coffee. Let me know and I'll meet you here, blah, blah, blah. But this also works for car photographers or car enthusiasts. This works for detailers. Let's say you're a detailer for cars, but you want to be more in tune with your community. You could hold like a meetup in an open area and say, hey, look, I'm having this meetup with these cars. Come along. I'm a detailer. I'll wash your cars for free. We can all have a chat. As a detailer, then that's going to give you, yes, okay, you're taking your day out to wash some cars and talk to other people, but that customer base is also going to grow then, and then it expands out from there. And then that could be copy and pasted for the beauty industry, for real estate, for literally anything within that niche. Any niche anywhere, you can create events and create workshops or anything around your niche. And these events for your community should always be free. And the reason for that is because you're then strengthening that community base. And if you can give something back, these people are supporting you. So if you can give something back, a discount, some giveaways, some free exposure, some free services, whatever, try and give back within those little tiny niches, because it's really important, especially in the photography and creator space. I know how hard it was growing as a creator. So if I can give back to the creators within my niche whenever I can, I do. And I think it's really important. So community first, customers second. Number 3 is making sure on Instagram specifically is that you're posting stories. Sometimes I think stories are overlooked. Now, stories are a really good way to showcase where you are, what you're doing, and a little bit of like candid feel to your account. And I know that sounds a bit obvious, but a lot of time people just think, I'll post a story, I'll reshare something. But what your story is kind of like a freebie, right? You can just showcase stuff. It's only there for 24 hours. So you can post stuff, for example, let's say like today, I went out around Nice. I can put up some stories, asking people questions about where I'm going, talking about the food, talking about where I've been. And it makes that connection with the community even stronger, because you're involving them in the behind the scenes of what they normally see, the polished, finished aspect of what they normally see on socials. So what you want to be doing is posting a story set every 24 hours. So let's say within a 24-hour period, you want to post 4 stories. You want to just wait for those stories to run out before you post again. Because if you just keep a loop going, so let's say you just keep posting stories all the time, your engagement on your stories will actually just drop. You want to make sure you're leaving a bit of time between posting. So let's say I post now a story, I want to wait 24 hours and then wait an extra hour before I post, and then that's going to give you the best chance to get more views on your stories. Number 4 is quite an important one, is posting on Instagram. How many times should you post? How should you post? What should you post? Where should you post? And I'm going to try and touch on that as much as I can with the best knowledge that I have after posting on socials for the last 9 years. I would say the most important thing is adapting to platforms as they evolve and grow. So a good example of that is Instagram has just released the fact that some people, it's not worldwide released yet, but most people have got the new update where you can post 20 carousels. So what that does to me as a creator, that allows me then to be able to post 20 photos in an interactive way. So I can then post something like this on the screen, where you basically tap and hold on the dots and you scrub through, and it creates this kind of like stop motion, this motion graphic, which is really cool and interactive, and it makes people use the app in a different way, and that's really important to do. So let's talk a little bit about posting, like reels, posts, carousels, etc., and how you should go ahead and do that. Reels are important because you can get engagement, you can get some views, you can get some eyeballs on your content, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a must do. If you don't want to post reels, don't feel like you have to. I think that you should, because there's no reason why you wouldn't be doing it. So I would probably suggest posting maybe 1 to 7 reels a week. Now, there's a lot of ways of posting. And I mean that you don't have to post every single day to be successful, but there are a lot of people that post twice a day and get incredible engagement because they're putting themselves out there. And it's of course true, the more you put yourself out there and the more chance you have of being seen, the more chance you have of growth, and that's kind of it. However, what I would suggest to do is set yourself a realistic goal, a schedule that you can stay to, and stick with that. So I would say, let's say you want to post 3 times minimum per week. So maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then you can keep to that schedule, and then that'll allow you to be able to be consistent, but also be posting on a regular basis. If you want to post reels, then make sure that the content is engaging. Don't just post like, this is a beautiful sunset. Don't just be like, oh, there's a sunset, post that as a reel, because that's more of like a story. You want to be posting something that's engaging, something that's teaching, something that is showcasing the skill that you do in a really unique, fun way. And if other people have done it, go through the Reels tab, have a look, see how other people are doing it, and then just adapt what they've done to suit your style of creating. You know, I've done a ton of different Reels where they've done well and not done well, but I don't do it for that. I want to just showcase my work in a different creative way, and I think that's what's important. So go out within whatever niche you're in, go out and try and find a way to showcase your work in a different creative way. Another good example of this is obviously Willis. I spoke about him earlier, where he saw that people were, you know, going to locations and they were doing like, here's my camera, here's a panning shot. Oh, wow, there we go. There's a finished image, which is okay, but it's a bit boring. What he's done is he's showing it through a walkthrough, showing you, bringing you along for the journey. So it's the same thing as a whole, but it's just packaged a little bit differently. So go through different creators, different people that you follow, see how they're creating content, and they go, that's a great idea. Let's try and change it around. Maybe even try and think out the box a little bit, try and do things a little bit different, a little bit opposite to what they're doing, and it'll give you more exposure, because when people see it, it's different, and they're going to go, ah, right, and then that's how the engagement starts. So number 5, this photo here is a photo that I did where Lewis Hamilton had just won the Silverstone F1 race, and he hadn't won in a long time, right? So it was a hot topic. And that's what's really important, especially within your own niche. You want to be looking out for things that happen within the news, or, you know, things that come up that are talked about events, and you want to tap into that. So I wanted to create an engaging post about Lewis Hamilton because he's just won, because with that all packaged, it should do well, and it did. So what I did was I wanted to create bold text behind the car just saying Hamilton, because it looks more interactive. And then on top of that, I did the tap and hold slide thing, so you can see the before and after image. So then you're tapping into people that are photographers, you're tapping into people that are F1 fans, you're tapping into creators that are looking for new things. There's a lot of different reasons why this post specifically did really well. Now, this isn't the only post of mine that's done well as a photo. These are the other ones that also did well as still frames, because as photographers, it's important to have a mix of carousel posts and single photo posts. And that's what I would say is the number one way to position yourself as a photographer, is posting a bit of everything. And then that way you're touching all the bases and you're not missing out anything. A little bonus tip of how I did this photo, of how you put text behind it, because it's something that I've started doing a lot and I really enjoy it. Another creator that does this is Matcha. He's a fantastic creator. He's based in the UK, in Sheffield. This is his feed. It looks immaculate. I really highly recommend you going to follow him. And he does this text overlay thing, and it just, I mean, there's mine, and then there's like unbelievably how good his is, just immaculate. But I want to just show you how you do it, because it's actually really good to do. And also Ben McLean, the video that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, also touches on this as well. So it's really important you go and watch that video after this one. So I take the photo, I drop it into Photoshop, and the first thing I want to do is I want to go to the top bar, press select, and then press subject. That's then going to auto select the subject for me. And I'm just going to press right click, and I'm going to press copy, and that's going to copy that to a new layer. Then what I'm going to do is go to the text tool. I'm going to type out the text that I want. For this example, I want it to be Hamilton. I type out Hamilton. The font that I'm using is Aesthetico. Once you've typed out the word that you want to make sure that that is sitting between the two of the layers. So you have the one layer of the subject and the layer of the background. You want to make sure that's sitting between the two, and then you just position it so it fits nicely. And that is literally it. That's what I personally do. That's how I achieve this final image with the text. It was edited with my presets, which is linked below in the description. If you have any questions with what I've just given you, I know it's a lot of information that I've just given you. It's a long video, but a lot of people have asked me this question, and I think if you follow this, plus going over and watching Ben's video, 100% you're going to be on the front foot. And a lot of the time people say, yeah, oh, that's good advice. Oh, they don't listen. And then they go ahead and then they just continue doing what they're already doing. If you listen to what I've just given you, this information, and be consistent and upload things that are engaging and make sure that you're being in tune with your community, you will grow. And then couple that with being aesthetically pleasing with the content that you're putting out, you will be on for a winner, trust me. So with all that being said, create more, stress less, go out, have fun. If you have any questions, come over to Instagram, send me a DM, and I'll be sure to help you out.